Hi, I'm David Carlin, founder of DA Carlin & Company and an internationally recognized voice on climate and sustainability. I'm here to break down the results of the 2024 United States election and what it means for the future of climate policy, both in America and around the world. Of course, Donald Trump's re-election has major implications as he has repeatedly voiced skepticism about the human role of climate change and has reacted negatively to international commitments, pulling America out of the Paris Agreement in his term from 2016 to 2020. However, I want to give a full view to what we can reasonably expect during this potential new administration and what the implications are globally as well as domestically. The four themes I'll hit on are the continued politicization of ESG, the focus on the pullback on international commitments, as well as the rollback of regulation. In addition, the fact that renewable growth actually may be more durable than you may think. Next and last, we'll talk about America's energy mix and how perhaps there's less change and more continuity than meets the eye. I aim to give you an even-handed account and give you the information needed to be able to understand what these monumental changes mean, both for America and for you, wherever you are. ESG has gotten politicized over the past few years in America, with Republican attorneys general passing laws as well as subpoenaing those members of net zero alliances, as well as challenging those who are using ESG criteria for investing in financial decision making. Democratic states have also passed countermeasures enforcing and in some cases expecting the use of such sustainability criteria. However, we expect that with the Trump administration, the federal level will become a lot more hostile to ESG. That will mean striking down of regulations, potentially that of the SEC on climate disclosure, and increasingly challenging states like California that are out front when it comes to climate policy. What this ultimately means still remains to be certain because of these challenges, many of which will be tied up in courts over the next few years. But we can expect limited new policy and increasing pressure on financial institutions and corporations that move more quickly on sustainability topics. The expected rollback of America's climate policies are going to add emissions to the atmosphere, potentially to the tune of 25 billion tons of carbon dioxide equivalent by 2050. Not only that, but the overall impact may be greater if America not only steps back from its commitments, but plays a role in hampering international collaboration on climate action. There's a real implication here, both for America's net zero journey, but also for the world, given how narrow our carbon budget is. Despite the definitely negative policy and climate action implications of a new Trump administration, there are some issues that are a bit more durable. Renewables are still expected to grow, although perhaps not quite as fast as under a Democratic administration. That said, their growth really does cut across partisan boundaries, with Texas, a red state, being the biggest producer of both wind and solar energy, and a number of Midwestern and Southern states being big beneficiaries of the Inflation Reduction Act. It's these elements at the state level that are least likely to be overturned in a new Trump administration. We're also expecting, because of the economics of these technologies, for them to continue to grow in these states, especially as those states continue to put local incentives in place. One area of relatively unexpected continuity between administrations might be in the overall production of energy. As I mentioned, it's unlikely that we'll see a crimping of renewable energy. But on the fossil fuel side, it's hard to say that the last two Democratic administrations have really curtailed production. Yes, they've decreased the number of leases that are for sale on federal lands, but it was under the Obama administration that America first became the world leader in natural gas as well as petroleum production. That continued under Donald Trump and continues under the Biden administration today. We can see that relative continuity having a lot more to do with the economics of fracking, having a lot more to do with the extraction potential in these places than the federal policies. So we may see less change in this regard. Trump's election is a definite setback for global climate action and may measurably add to the overall temperature that we reach before we begin reducing emissions further. However, despite this fact, there is some areas of hope. The continued growth of renewables, as well as the innovation and investment both in America and abroad, toward green technologies is driving a transition that is too big to bottle up and too big to reverse. That said, these delays will be damaging and dangerous, and yet the planet will continue warming, adaptation needs will continue intensifying, and if America wants to be the innovator and the lead from an economic standpoint in this changing world, it's going to need to think green as well. Thank you so much for your attention, and if there's anything I've said or any further questions you have about the implications of the election on whether your company, a policy issue, or climate more generally, please don't hesitate to get in touch. My contact information is below, and we'll be doing more videos like this on our newsletter as well as via LinkedIn and our website. Thank you so much.